Well, thanks everyone for coming. We are going to start now. Good afternoon to everyone here and those who are at home.
So 6 are going to be present here online. And 6 are going to present here with us, and 3 are going to connect online. So remind you that each startup will have 7 minutes. So ideally 5 minutes to present their solutions and 2 minutes of questions. So the longer the pitch, the less questions, and the shorter the pitch, more questions. And for the question time, so we have a panel of experts here today. So Annabelle from Bayer that you've just seen online, Brent from Mount Sinai Ventures, coming all the way from the States to be with us today, Ferran from Nena Capital, and Maite from Esade. So let's start. So the first company to do the pitch is Benetoc. So Jordi, if you're ready, all yours. So you have 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordi. I'm the founder of Benetoc, and we are the headspace or CAM for speech, helping millions of people find joy in speaking. So some disabilities look like this, but others look like this, including 800 million people affected by speech impediments. Here, there are 2 of those people, since they have suffered from chronic stuttering. The word in Spanish is tartamudez. So the first one is me, and the second one is our CTO. And stuttering is a neurodevelopmental disorder, like dyslexia or autism, that has no cure and must be managed for life. So it's difficult for me to express with words what it means to stutter, but I think that this scene is a good representation. So we are not alone, because 160 million people, 2% of teens and adults, stutter. And therapy can help, but only 12% access therapy. And from those, only 16% find it effective. So in other words, from the 160 million people who stutter, just 3 million people find effective therapy. So our goal is to fix this and deliver a therapy that is accessible to everyone and effective for everyone. And how are we doing it? First, we provide real-time audio, haptic, and visual feedback on speech patterns. I am using this right now. It is giving me audio feedback on a speech rate technique via my earbuds. And I can use it anywhere and ignores other people's voices and sounds. Second, we encourage proactive speaking in the same way that a fitness tracker helps to do 10,000 steps a day. We provide a personalized therapy, and we give a community that enables a secure space for support and peer practice. So as I mentioned before, with the current standard of therapy, just 16% of those who can access therapy find it effective. In contrast, with Benetoc, 85% of our users find Benetoc effective. And those who doesn't have a 60% monthly retention. So we launched Benetoc last year, and we proved that we have a global demand. We are transforming lives of thousands of people, and we have speech language therapists that say that their job is easier because of us. So I was a mechanical engineer working in multi-billion-dollar deep water projects for 15 years, but decided to quit to help millions of people like myself to live a better life. Koen, our CTO, is a world-leading expert on the field of audio, sold his company to Skype, where became the first distinguished engineer. And our CMO is also a person who stutters, who was the CEO of a marketing agency making 20 million annual revenue. We have also a whole team of advisors and key opinion leaders in the stuttering domain. And beyond stuttering, our habit building framework can be deployed to more speech areas, including being part of 45 billion annual revenue spent, sorry. So we are going to launch next week our premium features, which is going to be 1 year after we launch the freemium. And we are going to focus B2C as a freemium model. And later we will focus in B2B, which means for schools, health organizations and employers, providing a solution which is five times cheaper and more effective than standard classical therapy. So last year we launched Benetoc. We built and launched Benetoc. This year we are doing a round, 300,000 euros round, to become self-sustaining and to explore the B2B reimbursement route in the US. Our goal is to be the first solution to help people around the world find joy in speaking. So those people find a solution that help us, but other people are not as lucky. So join us to transform the lives of millions of girls and boys like them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordi. 1 minute of questions. Was a question, experts?
Yeah, hi.
Hello,
What do you think is the best B2B channel to acquire users?
Sorry, repeat again.
The best B2B channel to acquire users.
So at the moment we are focusing in reimbursement. So speech and language therapies cannot work to acquire users because there is not enough of them. So the most important one is health, the NHS, or in Spain, the Seguridad Social. This will be the main one, of course.
Okay. And have you made any studies whether you can get to break even with B2C customer acquisition cost and what users would pay for the premium features?
Right. So we are going to launch next week. From this week, we will have cost per acquisition data, but our goal is to have $600 lifetime value.
No.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you. So we're going to be strict. 7 minutes total. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we go for the second project to present today, which is Track Health Solution with John Vital. You have 7 minutes, as we said before. And I want to tell you also that you have in the papers a questionnaire. So you are interested in have meetings, afterward meetings that we could organize from next week. You could put there your interest in any of the projects we are going to present now.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm John Vital, CEO of Track, and I would like to ask by asking you a couple of questions. First of all, how many of you have you ever been to a physical therapist? Okay, I see a lot of hands here. And another question, and please be honest, how many of you do complete the exercises that the physical therapist prescribe you? Okay, I don't see much hands here. Okay, so in fact, 2.4 billion people need rehabilitation services, but there are not enough physical therapists to cover population needs. Here in Spain, we have 10 times less physical therapists than what World Health Organization recommends. And for this reason, we have overcrowded health systems with 250 days of waiting lists in case of the chronic MSK patients. So for this reason, we created Track, the CE-marked and AI-powered at-home digital rehabilitation and patient monitoring software for healthcare providers. And this way, healthcare providers can monitor patients from home, exercising in an optimal way. But how do we do it? using our own technology, a post-estimation algorithm that without the need of any wearable device, just with the smartphone or tablet, let us measure all body key points of the patients to analyze patient movements in real time, correct them if the patient doesn't complete the exercise wrong, and gather important data such as the range of motion. This is how Track works. First of all, healthcare professionals prescribe to their patients exercises from our 1,000 exercise library. Then patients exercise with, as you can see here, we have a gamified experience that corrects patients in real time and motivates patients to complete the rehabilitation exercises. And finally, healthcare professionals can have data of how the patient has exercised from home with an optimized alert system that optimizes healthcare professionals' time. So this way, with Track, we increase healthcare professionals' productivity as they can see 4 times more patients. We also reduce service costs because with the hybrid rehabilitation that combines physical and digital physical therapy, they don't need to see every patient. And with our tool, we let physical therapists to focus on the patients that really needs them, and treating digitally other patients, such as the one with back pain, for example. We've done a pilot study with Rivera Salud, and we've seen that we've increased by 278% the adherence to treatment comparing to the standard of care, with high satisfaction level among patients. We are facing a huge market opportunity. I think that we all know how e-health market is growing, but I would like to focus on physical therapy. It's growing a lot, 5% every year, and there are a lot of startups in the US that raised more than $1 billion the previous year, focused on MSK care. So this is the team. We are a strong team, and we have everything in-house, the product and AI sales and the clinical team. And we also have a strong advisory board that help us in the management and on the medical point of view. Our business model is we are a B2B SaaS, and we charge per healthcare professionals or patients that are in the platform. And we're working with more than 30 customers, such as international pharmas like Janssen or Grunenthal. In the active aging field, we're working with CaixaBank or DomusVi, and with the healthcare professionals with other hospitals like Quirón Salud, Rivera Salud, Osakidetza, Mutua Universal, or Egarsat. We are growing a lot. This year, we will invoice 10 times what we invoiced the previous year. We are working in several countries internationally, and we are looking for a 700,000 funding round. So thank you very much for your attention.
I can start. Thanks so much for the presentation. Just a quick question. We think that this is a pretty highly competitive space. We've received many applications within this space. What would you say the barriers of entry are? Because companies such as Sword, Hinge Health, Gaia are already expanding in Europe. And since this is basically a digital tool that's recommending you different treatments to do at home, what would you say your differentiating factor is?
Yes, our key differentiator is that we are focused on healthcare providers. Sword, Gaia, Hinge, they are directly B2C, and we are B2B2C. We let healthcare professionals manage their patients in a more optimal way. That's our key differentiation from them.
It's time for another question.
Hi. So what is the incentive for healthcare providers to adopt your solution and provide it to their patients?
Healthcare providers with our solution can manage more patients, and we make them more efficient. We've seen that, for example, they do hybrid rehabilitation that mix 50% of physical therapy and 50% of digital physical therapy. And this way they can manage more patients, reduce waiting lists, and be more efficient.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, thank you very much.
So the next company is Build Glasses. So Jaume, if you're ready, all yours. 7 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jaume Puig. I'm the CEO and the founder of Build Glasses. And our project started with my son Biel. When he was 2 years old, we realized that something was wrong with him because it took long for him to start walking. And even when he started, he was suffering falls and injuries and he easily got lost. And after visiting many doctors, we realized that the problem was in his eyes, as he has low vision. Low vision is a visual impairment that cannot be corrected with glasses or surgeries and do not allow you to do the daily tasks. And the worst consequences are mobility issues that cause falls, injuries, dependency, and isolation. And they are worse when there is a peripheral vision loss, like in glaucoma. It affects more than 70 million people in the world, 7 million in Europe, and has an impact of more than 15,000 euros per person per year, amounting up to 100 billion euros only in Europe. But the good news is that people with low vision still see. They are not completely blind. This is why our solution consists in smart glasses that adapt the reality to the remaining vision of the patients, solving these mobility issues and improving their autonomy. For doing so, we use robotics, AI similar to autonomous driving, and mixed reality to create an enhanced version of reality like in the following video. This is the way that somebody with low vision see. You can see that they need to be scanning the ground all the time in order to avoid fixed or mobile obstacles that may cause an injury. And now you can see the same situation using our solution. You can see that first there is a light for crossing the street. And now you can see that there is no need to be scanning the ground because if is there any danger, the system will warn of it using graphical signs adapted to the remaining vision of the patient. We have also other complementary functions, like in this case, a zoom window in order to facilitate reading. We partnered with EIT Health and the optometry school in Terrassa to create a living lab where we can test this solution in every mobility situation. And here you can see two of the patients that tested the device. Alex has retinitis pigmentosa and Mayte has low vision because of brain tumor, and both of them are very happy with the improvement of with their mobility they have with the device. So far, the available solutions for mobility are still guide dogs and canes, but guide dogs are very expensive. It costs more than 30,000 euros, and canes are very limited solution. And new technologies are changing this situation. So smart glasses will become the standard. And this will be a huge change for people with low vision because smart glasses will be much cheaper, easily available. They will also improve vision. They will let to have both hands-free, and there will also be a platform for many more accessible applications. But we are not alone in this digital transformation of low vision. In this graph, you can see how different devices solve the needs, the jobs to be done by the patients. You can see that the Smart Gaze is the only device that solves the mobility need, the one that creates more dependency. Our glasses are sold in optical stores which specialize in low vision, that configure the device to fit the specific needs of the patient. And we also work with ophthalmologists so they know the product and they can prescribe it. The retail price is 4,900 euros, and to assess this price, you have to keep in mind that the cost of having low vision is more than 15,000 euros per year, and the device will last a minimum of 3 years. Moreover, we already attained the CE mark as Class 1 medical device, and this will allow us to be reimbursed in most European countries. Our estimations is that the global market in Europe is more than 9 billion euros, from which we plan to achieve more than 100 million euros in 5 years. We already have distributors in Spain and Denmark, and also a pre-agreement in US, Canada with Essilor, the global optics leader. We are running pilot projects in Barcelona and Tarragona with the Mobile World Capital and Generalitat de Catalunya. We are discussing with Panasonic for a global alliance to produce low vision solutions, and we collaborate with main institutions, patients associations, and professional associations in Europe. Our team is composed by seasoned people from the technology, the medical, and the optical sector, and we have with us one of the key opinion leaders in low vision in Spain, Dr. Larry Sanchez. And we also have an advisory board, excellent advisory board, from which I would like to remark Dr. Bernardo Sanchez Almau, the head of neuro-ophthalmology from the Hospital Clinic. And we are proud of having obtained many awards and grants. The last one, the Seal of Excellence from the European Community. And we have raised so far €1 million. Now we're raising €1.8 million, from which 70% is already committed, including one grant related to this Seal of Excellence. And this money will allow us to expand also our distribution network across Europe, and also to develop the second version of the device that will be much sleeker and will include 5G and adapted navigation. So if you want to change the lives of people like Bial and allow them to move independently, join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jaume. 1 minute 24 questions.
I would like to ask, because you are talking about version 2, okay, but as I see, it's because you will include some new features, right? Like some new features like 5G navigation and so on.
Yeah.
But the device will change also?
The device, we will be changing also the display technology that will allow us to have a much sleeker and light device.
Okay, because now the user experience is good. Of course, the device is giving the possibility of having a better vision. That's good, but I can expect that maybe having these glasses all the time could be also annoying or maybe complicated for some people.
Well, actually, the glasses is not for being wear all the day. They are for mobility. So actually, the autonomy of the glasses lasts about 2 hours, and this is the most of the trips that these people need to do, and actually, it's a huge change for them. And well, we in our development we prioritized the quality of the display over the beautifulness of the device, the beauty of the device. And so far we used the best quality, the best technology that we can have from this for MVP. But for the new product, we will have a sleeker design.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now the next company is Efion Health, with Kike Yaudet, is the CEO founder of the company.
Yes, hello. We are Efion Health. We are a spin-off company of R&D Center Eurecat and Hospital San Joan de Déu here around the corner. And what we do is we measure mobility. Why? Because mobility is a key indicator of how a disease is progressing, but also, and very especially, of how efficient is the therapy that the patient is receiving. The problem is that traditional methods to measure patient mobility are imprecise and subjective, because nowadays a patient needs to go to the hospital, walk down the corridor for the physician to subjectively assess their mobility. We want to revolutionize how this is done with a digital platform that is objective, precise, and can detect and can predict clinical outcomes. This is how the system works. We use wearables, but we don't do hardware. We only do software. We use commercially available wearables and we integrate them in our platform. We have a mobile app that easily connects all these wearables and registers the data while the patient is performing a short exercise like walking 10 meters. Then all this data is anonymously and securely uploaded to our servers, where we analyze it with machine learning algorithms, and we extract a single score that is easy to interpret, clinically validated, and a direct measure of the health status of the patient. This platform has already been validated for the monitoring of patients of neuromuscular diseases like Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We performed 2 clinical trials where we show how our AI score is much more precise and sensitive than the current gold standards. So what we want to do now is expand the number of patients that can benefit from this technology, and this is why we are performing new studies in other conditions like multiple sclerosis, stroke, frailty, or orthopedics with top national and international partners. But our first product will be focused on neuromuscular diseases, and we are currently applying for certification as a Class 2A medical device. We expect to get this by the beginning of next year, so we can start commercializing this. Of course, there are other products in the market that allow to monitor patients, but we have several competitive advantages over all of them. I will just highlight the main two. Our competitors use their own hardware as the only source of data. We believe this is not enough to get a full picture of the patient, and that is why we integrate up to 5 types of wearables in our platform. Secondly, our competitors generate a lot of data, but doctors have already told us they don't know how to interpret this data. And that is why we use artificial intelligence to analyze this data and provide the physicians with a single score that is easy to understand and clinically validated. So our product is a pack of sensors specific for each disease and a software to analyze this data. They are like modules, like Clara Campas was saying, each one of them for a specific disease. Our main clients are hospitals for monitoring patients and pharmaceutical companies for the introduction of digital endpoints in clinical trials. Our first market is then neuromuscular diseases, which is relatively small, but as we develop and certify new products for other conditions with bigger markets, our revenues will scale up all the way to hundreds of millions in a few years. So for the first 2 years, we're going to focus on neuromuscular diseases, and that is why we have designed this go-to-market strategy that will allow us to become the leaders in neuromuscular diseases monitoring, and then we can jump into other conditions. We have a round open, and we are looking to raise 300,000 euros, of which we have already secured 185,000 euros. This round will allow us to get our first product in the market and find our product market fit. And down the line, we expect another couple of rounds. We have an international team with several years of software development, entrepreneurship, and clinical experience. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 2 minutes for questions.
Thank you. Could you elaborate a bit more on the business model? So the idea is that you sell it to hospitals and the hospital sells the sensor to the patient during the monitoring phase. Is this going to be done through a long time, or is this for specific monitoring of a patient in a specific moment?
We think that we can monitor chronic diseases. So these patients need to be monitored regularly, but not continuously. We believe it's important to have a control setting to gather the data. So our idea is that, yes, we provide the sensors to the hospital and they can monitor their patients while they visit or at home, but at specific moments with certain frequency depending on the disease.
Okay, so the hospital keeps the sensor, it's not the patient who does it.
Yes, and the users can receive the sensors, do a test, and then send them back, and they can recirculate them throughout their patients.
Understood. Thank you.
Please.
What's the incentive for the physicians, for the hospitals to adopt this solution? Is there an issue with the current process that they see creating problems with their data collection?
Yes, we are currently studying the impact of this technology in the health system. We think it will be impact the system at all levels, but we can already tell you that we improve the quality of life of patients because they can be monitored more frequently and remotely. For physicians, they can take decisions, clinical decisions, better clinical decisions with more information and provide personalized medicine. And also for pharmaceutical companies, we can accelerate the development of new drugs because we can introduce digital endpoints in decentralized clinical trials.
Thank you, Kike. We're out of time. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Francesca, the CEO and co-founder of Nena.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me today. So we founded NEN 4 months ago to bring a gamified digital therapeutic solution to children to help them manage their pain. Pediatric cancer is a global problem. Nearly 500,000 kids are diagnosed with cancer every year, and sadly, nearly 100% of them will experience pain. So due to the incredible unmet need, oncology is going to be our first indication for NEN to validate our digital therapeutic.
Pediatric pain and well-being management in cancer. Pediatric pain and well-being traditional and digital health solutions. NEN is developing a digital therapeutic solution to address pain management through play. Leveraging gamification approaches and cognitive behavioral therapy to modulate kids' pain and improve their overall well-being and outcomes. A child's ability to understand, communicate, and manage pain is very different from that of an adult. This makes it very difficult for healthcare professionals to assess and evaluate the child's pain progression, especially in small children. Despite all these difficulties, very few solutions are designed specifically for children. Therefore, novel approaches to manage and modulate pain are required. A gamified approach will assess, treat, and offer continuous feedback to children based on their journey through the game. CBT modules will be embedded into the gaming experience and introduced progressively. Everything age appropriate and designed to be engaging and enjoyable for them. NEN has been founded to help kids with cancer, their families, and HCPs with pain management. Do you want to help kids manage their pain?
NEN, helping kids rise above their pain.
So we're taking a kid-centric view to design exactly for kids' minds to help them manage their pain, leveraging a variety of CBT modules as well as anti-anxiety approaches. It's really science-based gaming where we're using our web-based platform to provide treatment through play, as well as the cognitive behavioral therapy. All will be part of an engaging game that's based on a rewards-based strategy. We've created virtual companions. One of the biggest difficulties, the biggest pains, if you will, with managing and assessing pain in small kids is separating mood from pain. So you can have a very happy child in a tremendous amount of pain, or a very sad child who's not in pain, any pain at all, or a 2-year-old that's being a 2-year-old, and then it's pretty impossible to know how to dose. So what we've done instead, and this is with the advisement of our clinical advisory board, is to create 3 separate avatars. So Dolores will focus on the dopaminergic receptor pathway and deliver CBT based on pain. And Sarah and Tony, as the name might suggest, are based on the serotonin receptors, and they'll target mental well-being. Sarah will focus on anxiety and Tony on depression. We're creating age-appropriate CBT with a focus on relaxation techniques, breathing, as well as distraction, to help them manage their mood as well as their emotions surrounding the pain. Parents play a really key role in how the child both interprets and manages their pain. And for that reason, we're creating a suite of solutions for the parents that we can help them with things like parental modeling and social learning, give them data around the progression of the child, as well as personalized trial options via a partnership with Ancora AI. We're going to be measuring efficacy in the clinical setting with physician-reported outcomes. Once we're out in the wild, if you will, it will be parent-reported outcomes, as well as the outcomes derived from the platform itself. These are all gold standard, already validated PROs that we're incorporating into our platform. Our business model is an evolution from B2C to B2B to eventually a standalone prescribed digital therapeutic as we gather more evidence over time. We're really very much mission driven, and our goal is to provide pain management to children wherever they are. So we're going to have a series of launches, starting with Spain, the UK, and the US. We're developing the platform in parallel in English and in Spanish. and then we'll expand to other countries and eventually democratize care via the support of the NEN Foundation, which we're creating to support lower income countries. So we're currently in the process of raising our 10 million Series A, which we expect to close in Q4 of this year. That will be used for the MVP development as well as the clinical validation and our global pivotal clinical studies. So we've done an extensive landscaping of the market, over 1,000 companies, and haven't found any direct competitors. There are a few acute-based VR for pain management in kids, but for chronic pain management, we haven't found any yet. We're starting in the oncology space, first in 2 to 7-year-olds, then 8 to 12, and then later in 13 to 17. And then once we clinically validate within oncology, we'll expand to other indications in chronic pain, including migraine, IBD, aplastic anemia, and sickle cell. So this is the team. We're small but mighty. We've been working together for the past 3 years. I'm trained as a scientist, but have 25 years of drug development experience. Most recently, I was the Chief Digital Officer at Almirall, and prior to that, led European investments for Merck's Global Health Innovation Fund. Shenya is our Chief Operating Officer. She's very experienced in deploying digital therapeutics in Europe, as well as digital solutions worldwide. We're leveraging this amazing clinical advisory board to help us on our clinical validation. It's a mix of US and Spanish experts in pediatric pain. We have anesthesiologists, pain psychologists, patient engagement specialists, as well as palliative care. And we also have this amazing business advisory board that helps us think through our go-to-market models, our commercialization strategies. And this is comprised of digital health venture capital investors, social impact drivers, pediatric hospital innovators. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. I think, there's no time for questions. Okay, thank you. But Francesca will be available after for questions.
For sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we go for next one company, which is Brain Gaze with Hans Super.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay, we are Brain Gaze. We offer solutions for early detection and digital treatment for neurocognitive problems. So meet Jack, 62 years old, a successful businessman, but Jack worries. He starts to forget things and he thinks he might have the early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. He also worries about his grandson that may have ADHD, the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If he has it, should he take medication? Medication means amphetamines, the current treatment for ADHD, which have nasty side effects. Jack is not alone. There are 50 million people worldwide suffering dementia and Alzheimer's disease. There are 12 million people worldwide that have ADHD, and most of them are just kids. These numbers also mean that the markets are very large and growing. So the Alzheimer's disease market will grow with 70% annual to a market of 15 billion in 2026. And the ADHD market grows mainly in Asia towards a market of 25 billion. Today's solutions for early detection are invasive, expensive, or they have a very poor performance. They are not very reliable. Today's treatment for Alzheimer's is not existent. And for, as I already said, for ADHD can have severe side effects. Therefore, parents that with kids with ADHD prefer to have alternative solutions for treatment. So although they occur at different extremes of our lifetime, ADHD and Alzheimer's have something in common. They affect the same parts of our brain. There is science has demonstrated that the locus coeruleus, located deep down in our brain, is actually the origin of Alzheimer and also of ADHD. Therefore, pharmaceutical medication targets this area and surrounding areas to treat or to monitor these diseases. Oh, sorry. What is also known and what has been demonstrated by science is that the locus coeruleus is activated by eye movements, but it also controls the eye movements. So the neurobiological processes that we measure and that we also stimulate by gaze-controlled, eye-controlled cognitive tasks are the same as those that are targeted by pharmaceutical medication. So far, we can detect ADHD in children and in adults with high accuracy within 15 minutes in an objective and an accurate way. Similar holds true for Alzheimer. We can detect Alzheimer at an early stage before real symptoms appear. Our gaze-controlled cognitive games show that after playing these games for 3 weeks, ADHD patients can reduce their symptoms by more than 50%. Similar results have obtained in Alzheimer patients that improve their cognitive behavior after playing these games after a couple of weeks. These results we don't observe if patients play the same game but with a mouse. Then we don't see any cognitive improvement. We don't only see improvement at behavioral level, we also see improvement at a more neurobiological level. And importantly, these improvements in neurobiological processes are very similar to those that we see after pharmaceutical treatments. Of course, we don't work alone. Everything what we do will be published in peer-reviewed scientific papers and journals. We don't work alone. We work closely with key opinion leaders across Europe and in the States who validate our solutions, and our methodology has been patented worldwide. So far, we have the ADHD solution for objective diagnosis in a clinical setting, and we have our games for digital treatment of ADHD on mobile platforms, smartphones or tablets. These ADHD solutions have been licensed by a Chinese partner to commercialize it in China, and we are close to sign a licensing deal with a US pharmaceutical company for the US markets. And in parallel, we are talking to several partners here in Europe. For the Alzheimer's solution, we have the working prototype. We have proof of clinical effectiveness, and we have set up clinical trial to prove the clinical usefulness of our solution. So we now raising 2.5 million to get our multiple assets to regulatory approval in the US, Asia, and Europe. And we do that in collaborating with co-investing licensees. Thank you very much. And here I will leave you our contact details. Thank you. Yeah, so we work with machine learning that does the classification. We can model, let's say, or change this classification so we can have low false positives or low false negatives. We have it set now that it's around 6% low false positives, 6% false negatives. We can make it different. So if you want to do a screening, we don't want to have, let's say, false positives. So we want to see everybody that can have this disease, that we pick them out and then can later do a thorough test. So we can change that. But for now, we have set it at 6%. Okay.
Okay, so now we saw all our speakers here. Now it's time to move online. and we're going to travel all the way to Slovakia to see our next speaker. So next speaker is Slavomir from the company Scase. So can we connect online? Think we can hear you? But yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Nice meeting you.
We can't see your presentation. We see your Gmail.
How about now?
No. Yes. Perfect. All yours, 7 minutes.
Perfect. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Slavomir. I'm the co-founder of Esade. Let me jump into the opportunity that we are going after. The opportunity that we are following, as you know, and I don't need to tell you that, medical seamless integration of smart technology in clinical care is hard. Most companies have an app, a good idea for an app or hardware, but in the end, it's all about regulation, ease of use, and future-proof of the devices. What we developed is both the hardware and software for telemonitoring of patients and inpatient care in the hospital. We have the hardware, we have the software, we are compliant under ISO 13485, and currently we are undergoing certification under MDR. Our target group or target clientele are private and public health institutions, usually between 10 and 200 employees with up to 100,000 patients. And we focus on internal medicine departments, diabetes care, cardiology, then elderly care homes, and SARS-CoV-2 departments. Our business model is quite transparent. So we have an installation fee, which is 759 euros, and then 49 euros per month. We also charge for disposables and lancets, which are on top of that. Obviously, the pricing is going to be a bit adapted to every country. This is pricing that we use in Europe. Well, we have been building the company from startup even before we had the first prototype by talking to customers. So even before we are fully certified, we already have more than 337,000 euros in paid pilots that we have been running currently in over 9 countries, testing the feasibility of our solution. Usually, currently it takes us about half an hour to 1 hour once we come to, let's say, a hospital where we talk to the clients. Once they see what we can offer, they are willing to go into a pilot, and they are quite eager then to continue to an LOI. So far, we've raised 1 million as a seed round from institutional investors. I have to say we have pretty amazing investors on board, which are strategical and are helping us not only with financing, but also with connections to different markets, like, for example, UAE, Sweden, etc. The founding team has both the medical expertise and the technical expertise. Me, myself, I spent 3 years in venture capital, and before that, I used to build a startup in software automation, which was acquired in 2018. On top of that, our youngest team members are 24 years old, our oldest are 65. So we have business expertise of over 30 years around the planet, and obviously business connections that come with that. And our team, board of advisors are people who took companies from idea to ICOs, to people who work in the medical industry for companies like Medtronic, and also who have startups with healthcare solutions. Our goal for 2025 is to sign 500 healthcare institutions for our solution. Currently, we have over 24 LOIs from hospitals and 56 elderly care homes. And basically every week we have, almost every week we have a new hospital that we are signing up. So we currently closed our seed round, but I'm happy to talk to you about our Series A. If you want more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. So we got a bit over 2 minutes for questions. Who want to start?
Hello. Well, my question will be: I saw roads in the business models. Okay, what is the collaboration model or business model with the pharma industry?
So we have been part of the Roche Accelerator, and currently we are waiting for the MDR certification for our solution to go through, and then we can start basically a pilot that is currently under NDA.
Okay, thank you.
More questions? Brent?
Who are your competitors? Who do you see already in this market?
So we have a pretty thorough Excel presentation with about 100 companies that are our competitors. They are different in many aspects, but to call the most obvious suspects, let's look at iHealth, Untitled, and so on.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, now we go for next one is also online connection. Is a CardioCall. It's a company from Israel, and the CEO and founder is James Amihud. And you hear us? Okay, when you want.
Yes, I can hear everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm James Amihud, the CEO of CardioCall. Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. So look at the person on your left. Now look at the person on your right. One of you will develop atrial fibrillation or AF, meaning chaotic heart rhythm, which is a major cause of stroke, heart failure, kidney failure, heart attack, and dementia. But I think you get the gist of how dangerous atrial fibrillation can be. Have you been taking measures to ensure that you're not one of the three with atrial fibrillation? That's why the European Society of Cardiology has called for mass screening of everybody over the age of 65. But detecting AF is not easy. This is a sneaky, intermittent disease with up to 90% of the episodes being asymptomatic. Detection of it can only be done during these AF episodes. And since AF develops over months or years, there's a need for a practical, cost-effective, and age-friendly screening method. The positive side of this is that once detected, up to 75% of the AF-related strokes can be prevented. So have you been taking measures to ensure that you're not one of the three with AF? And have you done an ECG and electrocardiogram in the last week? Are you aware of the low detection yield of ECGs? Less than 5%? Yes, less than 5%. That's why we use voice to save lives. But voice is not just words. It's a result of a physiological process generated in our body, containing valuable data about our physiology and health. With the right analytical tools, our data is translated to vocal biomarkers of various health conditions that can be detected and tracked. CardioCall solution takes voice features from smart speakers, smartphones, and landlines, analyzes these voice features to pick up suspected AF, and notifies the patient or the physician. According to the clinical publication Lancet Neurology, there'll be up to 50 million people globally with stroke due to AF in 2050. This does not include the other chronic complications that I mentioned previously. So when screening high-risk patients, our app has the ability to detect and thus lead to dramatically reducing AF complications and saving millions of lives with an estimated ROI of 1 year. When being very conservative, our advantages include big cost savings, ability to scale to hundreds of millions, personalization, and a very important point, increased patient engagement, giving them the actual peace of mind. So imagine it could be you. Wouldn't you feel more secure with CardioCall solution, knowing you have a high probability of developing stroke? Now take a look again on your left and take again a look on your right. There's no need to gamble with AF. You can use your voice to save your own life. So I'm going to move on now a bit to a few other slides about where we stand, a few facts on our Series A and about the people in the company. This is a very convoluted slide, but the basic takeaways that you need to remember here is that we finished clinical trials already with over 700 patients. We've got our first allowance of our patent of verbal periodic screening of heart diseases. Our first publication has been accepted to the Journal of Electrophysiology. We have numerous regulatory approvals and ISOs, and have a few agreements with Big Pharma as well. Our management team here is highly skilled with extensive background in healthcare, telecommunications, and deep learning. They have founded multiple companies, including taking some of them public, and with a few exits also concluded. So to sum up where we stand on the Series A, we're looking to raise $15 million for clinical trials, as you can see, in multiple countries, the development of the commercial algorithm, regulatory applications, and of course, commercialization in additional countries. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, James. We have 2 minutes for questions.
Quick question. When is this used? So is this used by professionals? So when patients go to the physician's office, or do patients do it at home now that it's in, it's in the smartphone? Like how do you prescribe this, and who pays for this, of course?
Okay, great. A lot of great questions. So we've actually launched the product already locally. What happens for it is the health funds pay for it. Okay, it's a prescription. So it's something that the physician prescribes to the patient, and the patient actually can download it either on the app that they've got, the app either on their phone, or it's part of the HMO app.
Okay.
More questions? No. Okay, thank you very much, James.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So time for our next stop. So we're now flying to Portugal, where we're gonna meet Amir for Virtually. So you've got 7 minutes, all yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually based in Belgium at the moment, and I've recently relocated to Barcelona to open our offices there. So I'm really sad not to be there in person at the moment, but the stars weren't aligned in this case. Our company Virtually has been around since 2018, headquartered in Lisbon, Portugal. And it is a combination of the neurosciences and virtual reality. And particularly, how does virtual reality unlock the neurosciences specifically to address the huge impact that cognitive disorders have on society, most especially Alzheimer's disease, in which the call to action among startups is, can we introduce new emerging technologies that can better profile the cognitive health of individuals? And more importantly, can we introduce new methodologies that can serve as digital phenotypes, digital health biomarkers that can detect not only a cognitive illness years before, but perhaps even decades. The real problem is that screen-based devices fail to engage our whole body. Virtual reality's critical application, its killer feature, is that it is the first embodied digital format that engages multiple non-verbal circuitries of the human system in synchronicity. When I'm in a virtual reality environment and I'm standing on top of a very tall tower, if I have any iota of a fear of heights, then I promise you, and I am talking about personal experience, your knees will buckle and shake because your vestibular balance system, your autonomic nervous system believe this experience is real. That means the engagement levels are of a order of magnitude way higher than any screen-based device that you're just typing and tapping with your fingers and thumbs. It translates into higher levels of adherence, where for some reason, everyone's okay with the 50% adherence levels of screen-based devices. And the data quality, of course, is much higher. But let's speak about the fact that these VR games that we are designing in virtual reality by our neuroscientists that ultimately test and train a range of cognitive abilities, not only the memory and problem solving and information processing skills, but because of the embodiment of VR, we have spatial orientation, motor control, spatial audio awareness, the full gamut and range of human experience. Ultimately, this is all capturing volumetric data sets about the human condition that goes beyond just psychological and psychometric data, but also physical data. Our data infrastructure is actually capturing the gesticulation of your arms, your postural data, your movements, even to the level of being able to detect subtle tremors in your hands. The latest headsets even have physiological sensors like heart rate variability, pupil dilation tracking, skin conductivity. We are tracking and capturing about 250,000 data points every 2 minutes. And in fact, we have algorithms currently set up in our system, in our enterprise platform, that can calculate with those physiological sensors your cognitive load. We know if you're bored, we know if you're focused, we know if you're stressed out. And in this respect, we've created 15 very polished cognitive exercises that we have gamified, not only to be spanning across these 7 neat categories, but in fact, specialized in targeting 18 subcategories. So for example, memory as a category breaks down to short-term memory, working memory, long-term memory, episodic memory. None of these games are POCs or MVPs. Over 42,000 people have early registered using our B2C version of the app and stress tested the games, which rate between 4 to 4.5 out of 5 stars. Even though we're not a B2C application, but we do collect this data in aggregate and anonymize so we can use it for research purposes and continuously improving our library of games and the backend data infrastructure. We have over, as I mentioned, 42,000 early registered users. We have about up to 150 people register every day. We don't know why. We don't market for our solution. We get emails from a worried mother whose child had traumatic brain injury, and she wants to provide this solution as some kind of way of exercising these cognitive functions, if not for the therapeutic area, perhaps just for the monitoring side. And in fact, last week, we published our first peer-reviewed paper on the frontiers of digital health, specifically in that area. We have 3 clinical studies, all focused on dementia, 1 other that is not dementia focused. We want to pilot with Roche last month, which will be beginning in the next few weeks, specifically focused on using some of our companion app solutions. We have, for example, a solution that's available on your phone or a tablet that you can use to remote navigate the experience of the person in VR, which is great for caregivers, clinical trials, trainers. And this is our first pharma partnership, which is 3 years coming. We have these studies that will ultimately serve to make us the next gold standard of cognitive assessment, for sure. We are, if digital therapeutics is as optimistic of a new territory as we all hope it is, ever since Achille kind of pioneered the way, then we are, I know I'm drinking the Kool-Aid of my company, but we are the Rolls Royce of digital therapeutics, specifically for cognitive disorders, agnostic across not just cognitive decline, but ADHD, TBI, all sorts of areas. The beauty of our company is that we do not need regulatory approval or not need to wait for regulatory approval to make money, even though we have clinical trials in the US and Europe. For example, Vall d'Hebron Institute in Barcelona is one of our closest partners. They are currently running a clinical trial funded by La Caixa Foundation that is focused on the therapeutic application of our solution. Alzheimer's disease, they're focused on therapeutics. We have a study in the US focused on NIH SBIR grant, funded that ultimately shows whether we can map out the gaming patterns of people with Alzheimer's disease in order to create those digital phenotypes retroactively. And the studies like the one in Roche and the ones that are even in other areas like we're working with a pharma soon to have a pilot towards using our application to show how the correlation between depression and cognitive deficits in certain areas. The applications are all across different areas. Cognitive decline is certainly our beachhead, but we do want to provide this solution to the public and for all sorts of use cases. We've closed 1.5 million in licensing agreements since we came out of stealth last summer. And we are growing our base of partners to apply for all sorts of areas. Our team is a mix of scientists and game developers working at this amazing intersection where we can show that virtual reality's killer feature is in addressing the huge cognitive disorders facing our societies today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you.